Some people have requested another Sarfeyan video. I think this is the 4th, and I've had a bunch of DMs asking me about their society. So it's very hierarchical. It's an oligarchy. Like, it's a republic in that it has a voting structure in that of the Durak. But as I've said in other videos, the Durak is easily controlled by the great houses, corporations, and the faith, and the faith control the banking societies. The idea being that the religion would stop the financial corruption, which it didn't. The society is also egalitarian in the idea that they don't see gender as mattering. And this is because Sarfeyans aren't naturally born. They're grown in natal chambers. Except the aristocracy. The aristocracy remains pure. So no matter the gender, any citizen is a soldier to the Republic. But a society of soldiers has no infrastructure, so who does all the work? Slaves. Sarfeyans absolutely practice slavery, but not in the conventional sense. What do I mean by that? When the Sarfeyans conquer a planet, anyone who doesn't die in the final assault is taken prisoner. These captured prisoners are then paraded through the capital, like a triumph, and eventually they do meet their end in the arena. But before they make their final journey, DNA is harvested from these prisoners. That DNA is then sent to outlying natal farms. You know how I mentioned that the Sarfeyans grow their citizens? They also grow their slaves. Sarfeyan slave crops were created for 3 reasons. One was the obvious. Sarfeyans are leisure citizens. They don't do the hard work. 2 was to raise these slaves to be docile. They didn't want former warriors leading slave revolts, because slave revolts distract the legions from more important conquests. And reason 3 was actually the cruelest. Sarfeyans believed if you weren't a citizen, you weren't a person. And if you're not a citizen, you could never have known a life without servitude to the Republic. And once a slave crop is harvested, each slave is given a mark. You have a gear for workers, a scimitar, which is a type of Sarfeyan sword for fighting slaves, and a love heart for pleasure slaves. So yeah, it's not nice. And finally, their space travel. The Sarfeyan fleet, the Troga, is famed for its very durable ships. Now, these ships are capable of speeds enough to take them to neighboring planets. If you want to get to the other side of the galaxy, a Trigon alone won't do it. And that's why they use a void cannon. Now, that sounds like it punctures a hole in the universe. No. Think of the ship like a bullet loaded into this cannon and fired at hyperspeeds across the universe. Now that, you'd think would damage the crew. And you would be right. So those being transported go into stasis. Is the ship run with an AI? No, because the Sarfeyans don't trust AI. They use a crew roided up on silithane. Why? Because they can take the punishment. Silithane not only extends your lifespan, but will heal most of your injury. Yet another reason the silithane trade is so important.